Hello, and thanks for watching Focus, a show that focuses on community, unity, and service, featuring nonprofits and local community heroes. I'm Chris Giard. Since 1976, Habitat for Humanity has worked together with families, local communities, volunteers, and partners from around the world so that more people are able to live in affordable and safe homes. Our next guest is Jim Beland, the COO of Habitat for Humanity of North Central Connecticut. Jim, welcome to Focus.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Chris.
So let's start off by giving our viewers a little background on Habitat for Humanity.
Well, Habitat for Humanity in its national scope, many people have heard of the name. It's been around since 1976 and started in Americus, Georgia. And it has grown affiliate by affiliate and state by state to what is now an international organization in our world. In Hartford County and now parts of Talon County, Habitat for Humanity North Central Connecticut is an anniversary of sorts just coming up around the corner. We've been in existence for 35 years as well, and looking forward to the next 35 years ahead.
That's great. So specifically, tell me, when did you get involved in the organization, and approximately how many people in our community do you help on an annual basis?
Yeah, that's a really great question. From a personal standpoint, while I'm fairly new at the affiliate, I've had the opportunity to work with Habitat for close to 12, 13 years now, including local builds and international builds. And whether you're in New York City building or whether you're up in the Maritimes of Canada or wherever it is you be, there is one sense of commonality, and that is community coming together. And that's something that I think will always, if there's going to be one constant, that's a fabulous constant to have. In Habitat for Humanity North Central Connecticut, I know last year we've had 4,000 plus volunteers helping a variety, either on build days. And people always think of, well, I need to wield a hammer. And on occasion, while that's true, there's many other opportunities, either with Restore or with helping out. But at the end of the day, it is an army of volunteers that helps us make a difference.
And obviously, talking about volunteers there, we here at Focus love to hear how people get involved in their community. What is the process to be a volunteer with Habitat for Humanity?
Well, the process is pretty easy. You could just go into our website, Habitat for Humanity North Central Connecticut, or we shortened it hfhncc.org, and you could see that there's volunteer opportunities. In the myriad of opportunities, like I said, some folks might get overwhelmed at the thought of, well, I don't know anything about building a house. That's the least of anyone's worries. Trust me, coming from a gentleman who is, you want to keep me away from any of the heavy building of anything. But you can go on our site, and our volunteer coordinators and our directors will call you and tell you about the different opportunities. You know, just recently in one of our restores, we have a group of gentlemen that have been going out there as a group for years. And they actually have a little bit of a fabric into the community now, where folks come in and they know that it's a volunteer group, but they are an extended part of the family, an extended part of our staff. We have programs that go into the community, working with youth and advocacy, and working with financial education. So the opportunities are many, and we just pair you as best possible to your strengths and your likes.
So I know you just spoke about the youth program, and I was lucky enough to be on site at a Restore last year with the kids were working on a project that was ultimately something that was going to be sold at the Restore. So let's talk some of past and future youth projects that are happening, and then talk a little bit about the Restore itself.
Yeah, you know, the youth advocacy program, when you have to think about it, those are Habitat 2.0. That's our next generation of leaders and our next generation of folks who want to know the importance of a community, of bringing up a neighborhood and making it even stronger. We just recently had our youth advocacy day, the one that you mentioned that you were at last year. We just had that a few weeks back, and it was a cloudy, gray, rainy day, and both locations, the Hartford and the Vernon one, were packed. And they had a chance to to learn about what advocacy is all about, learn about a little bit of financial training, what a budget is, and how to plan your money moving forward. It's never too early to start learning on that. And then they got to build a playhouse. Now the playhouse is a 4 by 6 foot actual wooden playhouse with lots of moving parts in it that we are able to give to a child in the community, and they figure out the design and they'll figure out the paint scheme. And when it's all done, we hand it off to be given to a lucky child or a little organization into the community. But the bottom line is that the youth, and we have more opportunities coming up during the summer. Our goal is to have an event a month in some way, shape, or form that allows the groups either in a younger set or maybe that 10 to 18 group, that group that's just starting to head to college, to get a little deeper with what it is and what it's like to be in our community. And Chris, you also mentioned Restore, and that's where two of the locations took our advocacy programs took place. We do have two Restores, one in Bloomfield, one in Vernon. They're kind of the home improvement store for new and gently used material. But the cool thing about our Restores is it becomes a place for community to meet and gather, knowing that every dollar that we raise there goes back to our mission.
And I know for a lot of people that do home improvement projects like myself that don't want to see something go to a landfill, what is the process of people that want to donate some lightly and gently used things? Is that something the Restore accepts?
Absolutely. And the best thing about Restore is any given week, because things will move in and out fairly quickly. You never know what little treasures you're going to find. Recently, my mind escapes me sadly, but we actually have some stuff that came from a movie set.
Oh,
That
wow.
and they didn't know what to do with it. All brand new, but it was season 2 of a recent show that we sold. But I mean, if you have something that is slightly used, and a lot of times we get calls from folks saying, you know what, I just never had a chance to put in this window fan or put in this air conditioner. What should we do? You can call our offices, and you could also go online and tell us a little more about it, and we'll be glad to figure out a schedule as to whether we might pick it up or whether you want to bring it to one of our Restores. And also, quite often, we'll get phone calls from folks that are clearing out an entire house or an estate, and we'll work with you every step of the way to take as many of those pieces as possible so we could return and restore them back to the community.
Is there a specific need that you have right now for the Restore that constantly goes out, or something that is needed for a new project that you're working on in the future?
Yeah, not necessarily. I think it goes seasonally.
Okay.
Obviously the kids will be heading back to college, so what might be in a dorm will probably be a big push in a couple of months from now. But the fun part, and because like I said, you never quite know what's going to come in. It might be so recently we had some office furniture that just came in that was hardly used from ESPN, and that came in and that came out. Our paint supplies are fantastic. I know. That's my 4th of July project is working on painting a couple of the bedrooms here at our home from the paint that we get at Restore.
You talked about the youth programs. Talk about some of the home preservation projects that have happened in the Tolland County. Is there any one particular build or preservation that stuck out in your mind, and how that impacted the homeowner and the volunteers that were involved?
Yeah, no, it's so with Talon County, this is a new expansion for us. We've always been as a part for many years within Hartford County. Talon County is fairly new in looking at opportunities in Stafford or in Summers or in Union, and then moving on down to Ellington and Vernon. And it's getting to know the community, getting to know the opportunities, and getting to know where the needs of each individual community are. When you talk about a special rehab project. We had one just recently in which we just had a dedication, and the house was built before 1900.
Wow.
It was partnered with a veteran family, and this was in Hartford. The amazing part was the house, and you think you're redoing any house, but the house was redone to the looks and the standards of how it was when it was originally built. from the doorknobs to just about every aspect of that house. So it was a wildly large challenge for our construction team, which they did. But as I tell folks often during the dedication, there was just an army of people there, and a vast majority of them were the volunteers that worked on that house to see that family to their next chapter.
I mean, going from a period correct restoration to helping veterans, which is so important as well.
Mhm.
I mean, that was a win-win event. So thank you
Oh,
for sharing
absolutely,
that with us.
absolutely.
Um, you know, you talked a little about advocacy at the state level. We've got, the session's just wrapping up when we're recording this right now at the state of Connecticut. What are some of the advocacy programs that you feel very passionate about in making and creating awareness as well for our viewers?
Well, I think one of the big challenges, and I think it's a blanket statement. A lot of times when you hear an organization such as ours and many other organizations, you think of areas or neighborhoods that are in need.
Mhm.
The more broad stroke responses, just about every community is dealing with a significant housing crisis. When you think that folks are spending upwards to 50% of their entire pay just to pay for a rent to make it to the next month. The trickle down effect is what's staggering. Is it food? Is it health insurance? Is it the opportunity for kids to get all of the what they need to excel in a local school system? And I think that's the biggest challenge that we and many others face. Is the building of the house is fantastic. It's all of the other elements that allow members to get to that point is the biggest challenge.
And I think it's important to helping know that there are still underserved families that need that accessible and adequate housing as well. And hopefully people that are watching this want to get involved, which in the Habitat for Humanity community of volunteers. So real quick, can you tell our audience what's the best way to get in contact you, and we can put a graphic at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So feel free, like I said, Habitat for Humanity North Central Connecticut, hfhncc.org will have all of our information. While our offices are technically in Hartford, there's 40 towns in Hartford County, plus the handful that we are now handling in Talon County. We will cover that area. You could stop into our Restore in Bloomfield at any time, and our staff is just fantastic. Our Restore in Vernon, which is in Talon County, also has a fabulous staff. And also ask about, there's one program, Chris, if I could mention, to talk about. It's called A Brush with Kindness. And this is a program that we're starting to use. Well, we use it all around, but really tailored towards the folks in Talon County. And this is an opportunity for the elderly, for veterans, for folks who need some sprucing up or some maintenance work in their house, but just can't get to it, or might not have the extra few dollars. It might be a couple of $1,000s. It might be a little bit more. We use our supplies, our volunteers, and our contractors to work on those programs. Maybe it's a ramp. Maybe it's shutters that need to be replaced. Maybe the house needs to be painted in part, and the list could go on and on. But a Brush with Kindness program, what we do is those folks who are able to improve their house a little bit, also improves the neighborhood and also improves the community as a whole. And that is something else that if anyone is interested in, give us a call, stop in. We'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
And that's something that's a year-round program, I would
It
assume?
is, absolutely. Yep.
Big in the spring and fall time to make sure things are buttoned up around the property as well, or is it?
And it's funny you mentioned that, but the clock of our calendar of doing things around the house, things get very busy in September and October, and that program is very similar. But we're always up for the task. And a gentleman we just chatted with last week was talking about transportation issues, which is not in our wheelhouse, but then mentioned the fact that transportation also included the fact that he can't get his wheelchair out of the house for the ramp, which he doesn't have. Okay, well, that's something we can't talk about, and that's what A Brush with Kindness does. Are those extra, what you would consider smaller projects, but vital to the community.
Absolutely. Jim, one last question before we let you go. We'd like to ask our guests, What are the things that you're the most thankful for the volunteers and the people that are involved with Habitat for Humanity?
The volunteer group, first of all, for anyone who volunteers, thank you. Whether it's with our organization or any organization, the fact that you're giving yourself and your time and your talents and treasures to help the greater good is just fantastic. Our group comes in all shapes and sizes, all skill levels, and they're all there at the end of the day to know that this will help get a family or families to a better place in a living environment, in a home environment. I always tell the story of the fact that I was on a build one time and I got a tug on the shirt from a 4-year-old who I was apparently painting her room. And she wanted to let me know that she needed to help me paint it because that was her room. And that is a memory that will live with me forever. And I think our volunteers in large part help make those memories happen.
Well, on behalf of Focus, thank you to those volunteers and thank you to Habitat for Humanity for providing that for our community. Jim Beland is the COO of Habitat for Humanity of North Central Connecticut. Thank you so much for being a guest on Focus today.
A pleasure. Thank you.